Warning. This program contains strong language, auditory violence, and mental nudity. It is intended only for mature audiences. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome to your uncensored home for World of Warcraft news and opinions. This is Unshackled Fury.
The void is crashing all around us, and sides are being chosen as we ready for the final attack before plunging once more into darkness. So welcome back for episode 167 of your uncensored home for World of Warcraft news and opinions, Unshackled Fury. I'm your host, Berserker. Mr. Corden is preparing himself for a big trip ahead. And on today's show, it's going to be fast. It's going to be furious, as it's guerrilla-style podcasting with my early reactions to patch 11.2, Ghosts of Koresh. But first, yes, this one's going to be a little fast, a little furious. I don't know how long it's going to take exactly at the moment. You can look at the podcast episode. You already know whether I kept my word on this. This one's going to be a little bit different for me, peeling back the curtain a little bit. Still a lot of busy weekends around here, so I am blasting this one out Friday. This will come out on the following Monday, so I've only had a few days on Ghosts of Koresh and hanging out there in that fantastic place, but I've done a bunch of shit. This is as much as I think I can do. So a few notes, just gonna blast through some things today. So I hope at least it provides some entertainment, enjoyment, or I don't know, some other shit to talk about or talk shit about. Want to kick off today with a little bit of a mea culpa, a little bit of a correction. Last week, I told the story of how Invincible dropped finally after a million years and a million attempts, and I had talked about how the homie Rommel was with me on that run, and there was a critical piece of this story. I was so excited when I was telling it, but there was a critical piece of this story that I left out, and as this is sort of my recording of all my activities in a way. I want to correct the record in stating that when that kill happened, the drop actually went to Rommel. Rommel traded it to me. Like, what a dude, what a guy. Yeah, he already had it, but still, like, that was, I think, one of the sweeter moments of this whole deal was, I still didn't get it. I really only got it because my friend was with me and he got the drop, right? Like that was like one of the cool parts of this story was not only did we do it together to harken back to olden times, awash in nostalgia, right? But the only reason I got it was because the homie was there with me. So you know what they say, I guess, friendship is magic. One other, and thank you, buddy. Forever my romantic partner. What can I say? One other item I wanted to bring up at the start of the show is I may have teased a little in the Discord and on social media, if anybody saw any of this, about an inbox item I had in my email confirming my order of one Varian Wrynn statue coming to my house. Now, you recall from some time ago, I had brought up the fact that there was this statue, this life-size $5,000 bust of Varian Wrynn, and I loved it. The details incredible through Sideshow. So if you know them and their collectibles, everything is top notch. It just blows my mind what these people could do. But the life-size armor thing was like 4 feet wide, 4 feet high. Like, fucking Chalamet in there. Like, it just is badass. For $5,000, well, you might, that's like kidney selling money right there. And that is not the version that I bought. There is, however, a smaller version. It's still like $350, $400. It's still quite a bit of money. And it's maybe a foot and a half high, something like that. So it's still, still going to take up some real estate. But I was able to negotiate within the parameters and confines of my relationship and finances a way to make that happen. And so hopefully in a year and a half, it'll show up. And when it does, when this lovingly crafted and detailed homage to one of my inspirations as a warrior, as a father, as a leader, as a reminder of lessons learned. I'll post some photos of it. I'm post video of it. I'll show it in bed I'll show it next to my bed or somewhere in my office, somewhere good. But very excited. So if that is something that is within your budget, it's something you are interested in, it is out there. They're taking pre-orders. They didn't say what the limit was. I know in the big one, it was like less than 400. I think 398 was the number. But for this one, it is out there, and they're taking pre-orders for I don't know how long, at least a while. There was a good deal where I think you got like $50 off. And that's what got me in the door. I was like, oh, it's never going to get any cheaper. Just do it. So we did it. And there you go. A Varian Rin statue will be coming this way. I can't wait to share it with you. For your metal album of the week, we're finally going to close the loop on something that I had mentioned some time back, which is there's one band missing from the big four. We had Metallica, we had Anthrax, we had Megadeth, and now it's time for the Almighty. So for this week, your metal album of the week, Rain in Blood by the Mighty Slayer. I hear somebody out there. Yeah, Slayer! Yes, Slayer, the controversial band that they are, and this album, like every other, controversial, but this one more so than many, seminal. They cover some real dangerous topics. War, racism, fascism, religion, terrorism, serial killers. It's a long list. So, not always for the faint of heart. Rain in Blood is one that most people have heard at least one song from. In various forms, you may have heard two. But Rain in Blood coming in at a swift 28 minutes and 55 seconds. So you can bang this out very quickly, which is kind of their motto, I think, is just ripping hard and heavy, super fast. This is one of the thrash metal bands from the Bay Area, 80s. They're pretty much retired now. They play, I think, every once in a while. Tom Araya, the lead singer, headbanged so much he damn near broke his own neck. So, he's pretty much retired. The very well-known guitar player Kerry King, bald guy, got the big tattoos and stuff all down his arms, ripping on the guitar. I think he's kind of a piece of shit in real life. At least that's what I recall from seeing some things lately. So your mileage might vary on his solo work, but overall, Rain in Blood. The song "Raining Blood." Goddamn, heard it everywhere. Guitar Hero, I think it was one of the hardest songs, one of the best songs you could play on there. Angel of Death, also one of the very famous songs on there. Shit, I think the first time I heard it was on Gremlins 2. I think it's on there. So, been around, but this is one of the big ones. And if you have never heard it, and you're like, I know Slayer. I've seen the logo. I've seen them at, it's always just various Slayer shit around concerts. But if you've never actually listened to an album, this is probably one of the most famous, if not the most famous. So give it a listen, and you'll ride out at the end with Raining Blood, and you'll feel like you want to run through a fucking brick wall. All right. Recommendations out of the way. We got a rage topic, and this one might be a little more serious than most. Let's hit it.
Let's rage.
One of the things about running an operation as big as Warcraft is it has a lot of different, and I say this not in an insulting way, but a lot of tentacles to try to get everything out that the company needs to tell you about their game. YouTube obviously is one where they post a lot of material. We have interviews in various places. They've got their own website where they post news, and I think it's still the best place to get just the straight up news about World of Warcraft. But they also have what is probably the most common form of news for many people these days, just social media. A lot of social media. They were pretty active on Twitter over the years. I think they're getting started in Blue Sky. I think they're might be on TikTok. They've been around. They've been around. And in recent years, I think myself and many other people have noticed how good their social media game has gotten. I think a lot of that was due in part to a couple of acquisitions that they made. One being, you may have seen this guy, Eric. He like cosplays a dwarf, and he was all over their socials, part of their team, doing a lot of great material for them. And the reason that what I'm about to talk about came to my attention, I can't believe I'm saying this, was I saw a fucking Bellular video screen that was, bridge too far, whatever the fuck it was. I'm like, what is he? Oh my God, what is it this time? And he started talking about how the social media team has essentially been wiped out. And I've been taking a break from social media pretty hardcore this year. I don't get on it a whole lot anymore, and so I'd missed a lot of what had happened. But the dude Eric, he left of his own accord apparently, but the team itself was being dissolved or laid off piece by piece by piece. And people who had been there and had put together great stuff, including our roadmaps, including the trading post blog that I really liked that suddenly stopped being made. All of that stuff, all of those people gone. Social media outsourced. Is it AI? Sometimes it probably is. Maybe more so. And what an absolute fucking crime. Microsoft, I think we thought Microsoft was going to come in and be a savior, and the way in which things have been corporatized in the world is bad enough, but the way that it's happened with World of Warcraft is unfortunate, especially when it comes to something like this, where you had a group of people that really had their finger on the pulse of the community, were making great, engaging content. It was the best stuff they'd ever made. Most of the time, it's like, they got a post or a little, Transmog Monday or whatever the thing was, right? General engagement, nothing bad, just, benign maybe. They were really pumping some funny stuff out, some good stuff, some engaging stuff. And for all of that to go by the wayside for, outsourced AI boo-boo nonsense, ooh, God, that feels bad. That feels so fucking bad. And I get it. Maybe it's cheaper to outsource and have somebody else come in and do these things, but they're not going to understand World of Warcraft like somebody who played the game for, I don't know, its entire lifespan, came in and worked on it and was pumping out stuff because they understand the community, the game, the whole environment around it. That's just, it's criminal. It's unfortunate. It's wrong. And shame on them for doing it this way, because it couldn't be better than what they were doing. This is what they're doing now, ain't it? So maybe someday in the future, when social engagements, because they have the numbers. You know they have all the data they could ever need, all the metrics, everything. That shit is gonna just take a fucking fat dump, just right down. Nothing. Because people will sniff this stuff out. And I think people are becoming more savvy to it. What's real, what's not, what comes from a human, what doesn't come from a human. And also who's detached from us and the game and everything else. And, some posers coming in. And hey, good for whoever's getting the work. Got to get paid. Pay your bills. But for us, being under the header we are, there's a better way to do this. So that is a damn shame. And my heart goes out to all the people that either got let go or felt the need to leave because their team was being dismantled. Been there, done that. Fucking sucks. So maybe one day they'll see the error of their ways. Maybe one day they'll reconstitute that social team. But for now, good luck. I don't know how much engagement we're gonna get now. So with that said, reaction time. What did I do? What did I think? What did I see? Ghosts of Koresh. Spoiler alert. Good shit. Let's hit it. So Ghosts of Koresh, patch 11.2 just went live just a few days ago, August the 5th. And right out of the gate, starting to reevaluate once again this timeline that we might be looking at based on that release date and the upcoming Gamescom announcement just right around the corner here. Basically next week, if you're listening to this on Monday when this comes out. So looking once again at our calendar, the one I've been kind of keeping and poking at, we're looking at early August now for 11.2, mid-August for the expansion reveal. I think that puts us 11.25 in October. And then we start getting into wintertime. And I'm starting to wonder if 11.27 is going to be a pre-patch or a pre-patch light. They keep talking about the housing, and they're showing the housing with it. But maybe a 12.1, maybe it's going live. Maybe we get midnight, February, March. Oh, it's August now. February, March. Starting to wonder. We'll get in a little bit more into that later when we talk about what's coming up with midnight, because it's getting a little juicy over there. But first, let's talk about where we just jumped into, and that is the beautiful Koresh. The shattered remains of the ethereal homeworld, as we've talked about before, and we've seen all the pictures and videos and all that kind of stuff. But to be there, I gotta say, what a phenomenal zone. The whole vibe and the music and just the sort of outland nature of it. It's hitting a good spot for me. And I always know, everybody's brain is different, but I always know when it's right. And there's this little groove that I can just feel my brain hitting when I'm questing or doing a thing or whatever it is. And I'm like, yeah, this is Warcraft. This feels right. Like this is the jam. This is the thing. And I love the way that they varied the environments, jumping in and out of the eco domes, which my dumbass thought you had to go through the doorway every time. I didn't realize you could just go through the barriers, the force fields and stuff until, I don't know, a few hours in. I was like, oh, I'm going to bump into that wall. And then I flew through it and I was like, oh, fucking idiot. So if you, like me, were going only through the doorways, you can fly through the wall. You can fly through the purple shit. So don't make my mistake. But the way that they varied the landscape, so you had, all the shattered, kind of empty, sandy, rocky areas, combine that with those biodomes where you had plant life and animals and different things going on there, creates that variety that doesn't make it feel monotonous. The phase diving obviously adds another layer to that, but really enjoy the zone so far. Easy to get around. You can fly right away. So there's none of this time gated bullshit where you gotta, I don't know, take a boat here, take a ferry here, take a griffin, take a whatever. Nope, we're right in it. So if you've also just been using a ground mount or walking around, get on that mountain fly. It's way, 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 way better. So overall, love the zone. It's getting a solid A for me on that one, because easy to navigate, easy to find stuff, lots of variety, scary things, not scary things. You can see just this ominous shell of the destroyed planet and all the voidy energy in the background. It creates the right kind of vibe for fun and danger and everything in between. So right out of the gate, Koresh, solid as fuck. The story now. We're at the end of the War Within campaign, as we talked about, working with Ilaria and Locust Walker right out of the gate. We got this group that's trying to bring Dimensius back, trying to revive him. Like, oh God, this is terrible. And along the way, it turns out the Locust Walker has a friend, and okay, who's the friend who's helping you out? Lo and behold, feet descend into the screen. It's Xalatath. Every time they got to show the feet, they know what they're doing. I'm tired of saying it, but we talked last time there are going to be some big lore bombs, and so consider the rest of this episode to be very spoiler heavy, because that's where we are. And as we go through the campaign, and we're like, all right, what happened to Koresh? How did we get here? What is going on here? I think we'd assumed all along, based on what we'd seen, what we'd heard, was that Koresh, this world's soul, Dimensius destroyed it and tried to get at it. Something in there. But one of the things I'd never really considered was, where did these ethereals and brokers come from? They're essentially from the same origin. We knew that they'd come from this planet. When the planet exploded, they turned into these ghostly beings of energy, whatever it was. Well, no. As it turns out, the ethereals, the brokers, were created by Xalatath. Did not see that one coming. The other lore bomb that was dropped on us was, oh no, it was not Dimensius who destroyed Koresh. It was Locust Walker's people, the group of them called the Ravel, his little faction within the Koreshi folks. They're the ones that destroyed Koresh to try to stop Dimensius. They used the planet as a bomb to try to blow him up. And unfortunately, that did not work, because what it ended up doing was scattering Dimensius, many millions of pieces or whatever, into the ether. But he was not destroyed. And so now these other Koreshi, they're trying to put him back together, and they found all of these pieces, and now they've got the Dark Heart. I think it was Phase Thief, right? Got the Dark Heart, and they're trying to bring him back. And that's some wild shit. Big bombs getting dropped, because as it turns out, there's a lot of gray here, and these people are responsible for some things that maybe they weren't quite letting on. And we learn a lot about the Wastelanders. These folks that are the other space mummies that are out there causing trouble. The oracles within these groups that have also been communicating, or were communicating, with the world soul of Koresh. They were hearing the Radiant Song, sound familiar, and they had a ceremony, the Tabika, where they tried to once again contact Koresh, and Xalatath had to help in and try to, had to step in and try to help them contact. And did they really talk to Koresh? Did they really feel Koresh? I don't know. Xalatath is pretty powerful. So as we go along, we're learning essentially that Locust Walker, a lot of guilt there. Destroyed Koresh, warped his people next to Xalatath. For us, trying to help Ilaria. Ilaria doesn't trust anybody now. It's like, I don't know what to do. A lot of confusion as we have now been 3 of 5 chapters in, I think, on the campaign at this point in the story. There are other parts that we've seen. We've seen some cinematics, in-game cinematics, but we know we haven't seen them all because there's stuff that was in the patch release cinematic that we haven't seen yet. And I kept going back and like, did I miss this? Did I see this? Did I miss this? I don't recall. So it's a little confusing for me, but there's still more to come. So if you finish it and you're like, what the fuck? There's still more to go. So don't worry too much. But overall, I was happy to see some surprises in there. I certainly didn't think Xalatath had anything to do with the Ethereals. And, I think we all probably know that was not, when they were created way back when, there was no Xalatath. So this is more of a modern invention, but I'm okay with it. Trying to tie all of this together, that the Ethereals and the brokers, they're, similar and they're wearing different, armor sets basically, and they're trying to tie it all together. And I know some of our good lore podcasts out there, Live Laugh Lore being one, the one, I'm sure that they will help tie this together better for you than I am here on this little shotgun podcast episode. But it was eye-opening to me to see that they went this direction, because again, just not expected, and I love it. I still think Xalatath is up to some shit. It's clear that she's using all of this as convenience for, we got to stop him because this is going to be bad. And it's true, but she's definitely going to use this to her advantage somewhere. Like, it's obvious. Locust Walker feels guilt. He's trying to do the right thing. He's being taken advantage of. We're like lesser of two evil territory right now. And that's kind of where we're stuck at. So how this falls out as we get into the raid, as we get into the Mana Forge, as we get through that, defeat Dimensius, we assume, and then maybe Xalatath is making some moves. We'll see. But overall, so far, liking what I'm seeing from the story. I've played very few of the extra quests that are around. I was just trying to blast through the campaign, mostly so we could get the artifact going. But good shit, good stuff. Do the things where you hit the bubbles and you stay a while. Do the stay a whiles. Totally worth it. Some of them they make you do as part of the quest, but always do that. Never skip those. Click on every character. Make sure you hit those bubbles because it's just fun and it fills things out. So overall, solid on the story. And on top of that, part of the zone, part of the story is Tazavesh, the Veiled Market. Now part of the land here in Koresh. As I said before, I didn't have a lot of experience with this as a dungeon. So getting to explore it for the first time as we get into it and essentially have to secure it, right? We get in there and, we got Wastelanders in there and there's attacks going on. And so we got to fight everybody off. We have to reclaim the city at first. And what a great place. There's so much you can use that for. Like, there was a time when, Dalaran was seen as the floating city that maybe could be used from time to time to go different places, and it did. Maybe Tazavesh is kind of like the replacement for Dalaran, where you can have this city that gets moved from place to place if needed, because it's great. There's all kinds of places that you could put people and things and quests, and it's fantastic. I love, as somebody who has spent most of his career in government, I love seeing the bureaucratic nature of Tazavesh being completely made fun of, because all of that stuff is ridiculous. And anytime you can poke some fun at bureaucracy, that's a good time. So really enjoyed that. The culture of the brokers and that whole vibe there. It's so solid. It's so well constructed, so well understood. I think they just completely hit the nail on the head of what to do with your central hub. Could have made it a camp. Could have made it something lesser. And, like Korthia. I know nobody wants to think about that, but if you think about it, all we had was like a camp. There was a, landmass that was, kind of similar-ish. And it worked, sort of. Functionally, it can work, but it's not great. It's not memorable. This is memorable. This is great. This is what you should be doing. So Tazavesh, A+. A+ on that. Fantastic work. So let's talk about one of the other big parts of this patch is our new artifact. I think I might have mispronounced it before. It's the Reshii Wraps, not the Reshii Wraps. Reshii Wraps Artifact Cloak that is upgradable, and it is easily upgradable. Let me tell you, having run some delves with the homie Rama last night, not even anything special, just running regular old, I don't know, we were just leveling up. So 4, 5, 6, 7 rank delves, got the threads I needed to upgrade it. So not terribly difficult to do. As we mentioned, allows phase diving, which is being able to jump into this sort of alternate version of Koresh where everything looks, magic-y and purpley and kind of sparkly, see-through, crazy stuff. So through our questing and getting this thing, we learned a few things about what these Reshii Wraps are and what they're made of. And what they're made of are these ribbons, these individual ribbons that were a source of power and rank to distinguish Koresh folks. Each one granted some sort of authority or additional power or additional power. Not real clear exactly on what that was, but we knew or were told during the questing that we had to get them together because it was the only way for us to survive the proximity to Dimensius that we were going to have to be in. So you can't get too close to them or else you get wiped out. So this is sort of our in, and I know that they talked about it in the raid that you have to phase in at some point. It seems like this is part of that. So jumping in, getting to do that, which by the way, on the mispronunciation, when I was thinking about this, I was like, the Reshii Wraps, it sounds like a snack. It sounds like a lunch item. Like, I'm gonna go get some Reshii Wraps. I ordered some Reshii Wraps on DoorDash. And to test this theory, I was in the car with Little Berserker the other day, and I said, hey, if I asked you, what do you think a Reshii Wrap is? What do you think that is? And he said it sounds like something that's like a spicy, like a wrap, like a turkey wrap, but spicy. I said, well, what if it was a Reshii Wrap? So that sounds more Hawaiian. So maybe it's got like pineapple or something in it. So I'm not the only one. Spicy Reshii Wrap for everybody. But anyway, but I digress. Using them in theory, I was like, okay, I'd read the things, I'd seen the things. Okay, we pop in and out of the phase diving. It's a cool concept, except you can't jump in, at least at this point that I'm at, and I don't know if there is one, but you can't just jump in and out willy-nilly into the phase diving. You have to go to like a phase platform, and you have to click on it, and then it brings you out, or it brings you into the phased world, and then you do have a little thing that you can buy for 1 copper from the guy that can bounce you out. So you can theoretically bounce out anytime. But it is a little cumbersome to do that, and I think that at some point you can mount or you can do something, but early on you can't. So having to run everywhere, and the early struggle is a struggle. But I can see where we're going, and I have a feeling I'm gonna like it better by the time we come back, once I've been able to do more. But having a 707 cloak that I have right now, that's where I've upgraded it to. Having a 700 plus item level for somebody that's down in the 650 670 range, 660 range, that's a nice bump, and I dig it. That I like. And being able to easily upgrade and just hit your upgrade tracks quickly, easily, getting bumps, stat bumps, fine. It's fairly benign. You know, the phase diving, they're warping it into everything else, or wrapping it into, I should say, everything else. So we'll continue to explore that in the delve, in the raid, out in the land. So more testing to be done there. But overall, this one's a little bit of a remain to be seen. I got to see more before I can really weigh in more on it. Much like the raid, which comes out this week, so we'll get a chance to look at that. I haven't had a chance to do the dungeon yet, but I plan to do a follower dungeon as soon as I can, so I can see that sucker. The archival assault, wanted to run that this week with the homie Rommel, but he wasn't quite there yet, so that one's still pending, as well as the ecological succession. Haven't touched any of that yet, but overall, the land, the initial questing, the Reshii wraps, all of that, I think pretty solid for a full patch. 11.2 being a full patch, I think it's a solid offering. The raid, you know, we'll have the race to world first. We'll see what people think about that. The ending, some people I think already know how this concludes based on maybe some data mining and some other things. You might know. I'm not entirely sure yet, so we'll see next time. But we know that this is not the end. So we're gonna fight Dimensius. We're gonna have all of this void focused work going on. Xalatath is out there clearly waiting for her time to strike. And that then leads us into midnight. And so thinking about all of this, thinking about this story, what do we know about this story?
Something epic. How epic? Real epic.
That's right. We know it's going to be real epic. Gamescom, the 19th. Midnight cinematic reveal. Expansion overview. Jez is going to be there. And there's not as much mystery, right, this time around as we knew before. So as we head into this announcement, I've already sort of queued up from that initial clip. Let's hear way back at BlizzCon 23 what my personal Lord and Savior Chris Metzen had to say and what we know heading from War Within into Midnight.
But as the forces of darkness close in around our precious world soul, you, yeah, that's you, will be called to do what you always do, which is dispense indiscriminate justice upon all those who got it coming. Talk to me, BlizzCon.
Always so good to hear the homie. So here we are, indiscriminate justice, and then
the second part of the World Soul Saga is called World of Warcraft Midnight. In this chapter, you will be returning, ready, to the old world, to the fabled lands of Quel'Thalas. There, the forces of the Void have invaded Azeroth, intent on snuffing out the light of the Sunwell and plunging the world into darkness and fear. You will not only help reunify the scattered elven tribes of Azeroth, but you will make your stand with the forces of the light and banish the shadow forever.
Chris is the man. God, I love it. Anyway, that's what we knew up to this point, was that coming out of the War Within, heading back to Quel'Thalas, reuniting the elven tribes, and having some sort of epic battle at the Sunwell, going back to the Sunwell. And based on what we've seen so far, it sure feels like that's Xalatath continuing to do what she does best. Instead of her being defeated and some greater evil coming in, it's probably going to be her. And then I don't know, going to the Sunwell to do some shit. That's what I fully expect from the cinematic, is something in Quel'Thalas, something with the Sunwell. You know, we have that great model, which is the full cinematic model of Xal'atath, and maybe that was the hint. You know, maybe she's at the Sunwell doing some shit. But that's what we knew. Heading into kind of now is that's where we're going. Generally, that's what we're doing, and it's Void and Light. That's the big battle here. But then somehow somebody let something slip, and the pre-order bonuses for Midnight somehow went out on either the launcher or part of the US client somehow. So it was revealed to us what some of these things will be, and they give maybe an idea of what's coming, although not terribly surprising based on what we just heard from Metzen, is that there are going to be some portraits for our player house that they mentioned. An Ilaria portrait, the Ranger General; Terralion portrait, the High Exarch; Erator portrait, the Redeemer; and Xal'atath portrait, the Harbinger, which, oh, you dirty birdies, I know what you're doing with that, you fucking gooners. I know what you're doing. And I'm not kink shaming, I'm just saying I know. So it does seem to indicate that Ilaria will continue to play a prominent role. The Ranger General, that seems to be, you know, that was the role I believe that Sylvanas had at one point. You know, that's you're the leader, you're the big protector. You're not the king, the queen, but you are in charge of the armies, I think. Erator's been talked about for quite some time. You know, Double Dragon, Light and Dark on that one. And given that the story is going to focus on exactly that pull against some more, expect to see that character to be front and center, and maybe he's in the cinematic. But what else did we see about the early leaks of Midnight pre-order bonuses? Well, here's what we've got so far. We'll see, you know, how real this is when it hits, but base version, $50 US, will have the War Within and Midnight. Level 80 character boost with enhanced gear, reputation progress, and more. 500 trader tender and housing early access. I believe it's 3 days. I think I saw 3 days in here somewhere. Heroic, $70. Same, you get the 2 games, you get the character boost, but you get 1,000 trader tender. Still get the housing early access, but you also get the Light Strider Raiment Transmog set and the Lightwing Dragonhawk Skyriding Mount, which the Dragonhawks, that's the area. Quel'Thalas. Light Strider Raiment, so expect something very bright, I assume. Red, gold, somewhere in that jam. And then we get the epic $90 bundle, which is quite a bit. No confirmation again for sure. This is stuff that people think that they've seen or we've got screenshots of, but they can always change their mind. But what we've got here, base game. So War Within, Midnight, character boost, 2,000 trader tender, still the housing early access, which again, I think is 3 days, but don't hold me to that. The the aforementioned Transmog and Skyriding set and mount. There is also a Void Strider Raiment Transmog set, a Void Wing Dragonhawk Skyriding mount, a Void Light Surger Skyriding mount, a Hope Flutter pet, Doom Feathers pet, beta access to Midnight. There is 3 days early access to Midnight expansion. There you go. Midnight Housing Bundle, which is a Light Infused Rotunda, a Gazebo, Light Gazebo, a Void Corrupted Rotunda, a Void Gazebo, Light Infused Fountain, Void Corrupted Fountain, the portraits that I mentioned, and 30 days game time. So that all said, what this tells me is that once we get to Gamescom and the announcement and the whole thing, we have to be getting the release time. If not a date, a month, or a season, or something. Because you're not typically going to put out these sorts of pre-order bonuses and bundles and whatnot if you don't have a date in mind, like, okay, we're shooting for this, so get this. Because especially nowadays, People are not going to throw out for pre-order bonuses unless they're really sure about something. And if they're really worth it, because there's a lot of pre-order bonuses and a boo-boo, or the game's boo-boo, or whatever the deal is. So I gotta believe we're close. We gotta be close to a midnight release. And I wouldn't even be surprised if once that announcement goes live that we're seeing alpha or beta fairly quickly. Like that's got to happen fairly quickly. We got to get on the hump here because I'm looking February and March in my mind. So it's gonna be a big month. August is a big month. I usually don't think of August as a big Warcraft month, but between the patch last week and the big Gamescom announcement next week, it's gonna be crazy. Always looking forward to those cinematics. I don't know how they're gonna top this last one, War Within with Anduin. It was so emotional for me. I'm not afraid to admit that. I still watch it and get a little verklempt when I see it because it's just so great, and the music and the not just the story but all of the weight behind the beats that they chose. And for midnight, I think we all assume it's void, it's corruption, it's something bad going down with the lights, and we've got a lot of opposing forces here. So what's the moment in time that they pick when Metzen originally talked about the cinematic for War Within? It was about how big things can start with small moments. Maybe now we get a big moment. Maybe now it's a holy shit moment. Maybe now we jump into the middle of a fight that we're gonna pick up at some point in the expansion. I expect more action in this one since the other one was fairly quiet, but we'll see. And always an exciting time, always a fun time. Haven't been trolling the leaks like I usually do before expansion announcements, but it's because we already know what it is. So it's, I don't know how much of a surprise. I think Last Titan, what happens in Last Titan? I think that's the one that might be big, and we'll be looking at, I don't know, BlizzCon next year, September, a year from now. That's probably when we'll find out more about what's going on. And God, I hope I'm there. Gonna be amazing. So hold on to your butts. August 19th coming in hot, and we'll see what we get in midnight. Before I go, August trading post is up, and if you like chess, if you are somewhat of a game master yourself in that regard, then this is your month, because not only do we have chess board themed mounts, which they look kind of cool. They look kind of cool. I don't know the pieces very well, but it looks like you got a couple castles on the back and you're standing on a checkerboard, and it actually kind of reminds me of something we might have seen in Shadowlands. Very Revendreth. I don't know. It's got that vibe to me. But you can rock a transmog set. There's a couple of them. There's one that is gold and black and white. There's another one that is red and purple and silver, and you look like chess pieces. You got the checkerboard on the belt and on the sort of accoutrement around the rest of your body, and then you got a big chess piece for a head. It's kind of rad looking. Not entirely my jam, but I do think overall,
that's what I'm talking about. That's why he's the MVP. That's why he's the GOAT. The GOAT.
it looks great. It looks fantastic. And on top of that, you know what else they have this month? If you've always wanted to have a sweatsuit in the World of Warcraft, if you've always wanted that level of comfort and leisure, then this is your month, because there's a white and a black, snowy and midnight sweatsuit ensemble. There's also the snowy transmog and midnight transmog sets, which give you, I think, an eye patch, among other things. That's pretty great. Chess themed weapons. Can't go wrong. So overall, pretty damn good job, I think. No Q&A this week, sorry to say. Like I said, it's gonna be a quick one, guerrilla style shot here. So I think I've done enough damage for one brief episode. Still almost 1 hour. My thanks to all of you for listening, and remember, you can always follow me and this show on Twitter at Berserker Rage and Unshackled_Fury, on Blue Sky at Berserker and Unshackled Fury, as well as on Twitch at Unshackled Fury and Real Berserker. You can always find Jez as well at JezGordon.com. You can join our Discord, links for which are in the profile of the show on Twitter and on our website, UnshackledFury.com. Feel free to contact the show with your questions, comments, or otherwise through any of those resources, or email us at UnshackledFuryShow@gmail.com. And you can find this show wherever you get your podcasts. So once again, thank you for listening. Remember to keep your swords wet and your banners high, and we'll see you next time. Farewell.